Good evening. The evening news. I am Adebare Ejimakide. President Bola Tinubu said Africans should seek homegrown solutions to its myriads of socio-economic and political challenges. The president called for closer collaboration and solidarity in the continent, saying that partnership among the countries are critical to problem solving and development. President Tinubu, who is on a 3-day official visit to Equatorial Guinea, said the exodus of skills and talents from Africa also bother its leaders. Nigeria and the Republic of Equatorial Guinea signed an agreement on a Gulf of Guinea pipeline project in Malabo, the federal capital. President Tinubu said the deal would open up new opportunities for gas exploration and employment. Special advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngilale, said the agreement covers legislative and regulatory measures for the gas pipeline establishment and operation, natural gas transit, ownership, and general principles. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, says aircraft on the presidential fleet are sovereign assets used solely for sovereign purposes and are therefore immune from attachment by any entity. Barrister Fagbemi said this in a statement issued by his special assistant on media in Abuja. He said that this followed an interim attachment of 3 presidential aircraft undergoing routine maintenance in France, made pursuant to ex parte orders issued by the Judicial Court of Paris. The minister stated that the actions by France was on account of alleged debt owed by the Nigerian government, adding that the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice are currently weighing both diplomatic and legal means. He noted that further actions are being put in place to resolve the entire dispute through available legal means, and the vain position of the federal government remains that the aircraft in question are sovereign assets used solely for sovereign purposes and are therefore immune from attachment as some hands are sought to do. The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared that the results of the 2023 presidential election are official and authentic. The electoral body was responding to a letter from the Center for Collaborative Investigative Journalism, claiming that in the televised announcements, INEC reported 1,578 polling units where voting was cancelled due to irregularities. INEC dismissed claims that the last presidential election was riddled with discrepancies between the results on its website and those presented by returning officers at the National Collation Center. The CCIJ made the claim while relying on the Freedom of Information law, saying that no figures were given for the reason, but officials claimed over 40 violence and other irregularities, adding that the total number of registered voters was about 1,205,000. While responding, Yakubu spokesman Rotimi Oyekami said INEC does not announce election results on YouTube, adding that there are no discrepancies either in the number of registered voters or the presidential election results announced by the Commission. The Nigerian Labour Congress has called on the federal government not to take steps at interfering in the tenure of union leaders in the country. NEC's head of information, Mr. Benson Upa, made the call while addressing newsmen in Abuja. Mr. Upa alleged that the government wanted to impose a 2-year tenure on labor leaders, adding that such action would amount to meddling in the internal running of trade unions and a gross violation of the corpus of labor law and International Labour Organization Convention. He said the police must tender an unreserved apology to NIC for the invasion of its headquarters or risk an industrial action or other options open to Congress to express its dissatisfaction. He added that the explanation by the police for the invasion had consistently failed to add up, including the purported legal documents from a court of jurisdiction permitting the raid. Osun State government has warned residents of the state who are encroaching on its landed property to desist from such criminal acts immediately or face the full wrath of the law. A statement by the information officer of the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, Beju Popola, indicated that the ministry permanent secretary, Dr. Vriz Olaoye, gave the warning in Ilesha during an inspection tour of government landed property. According to the release, the permanent secretary commended Leventis Foundation for their efforts in protecting the land given to them by the state government, stressing that all illegal construction structure on government land in Ilesha must stop immediately. Dr. Olaoye emphasized that anyone found culpable of the criminal acts will be arrested by the law enforcement agents and prosecuted. The federal government has intensified monitoring and screening procedures at all entry points into the country in response to the monkeypox outbreak. The coordinating minister of Health and Social Welfare from Professor Muhammad Pate disclosed this to newsmen in Abuja. The minister noted that the NCDC and the Nigerian Post Health Services under the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare had been taking steps to fortify Nigerians' defenses before the declaration of Mpox as a public health emergency. He further explained that the government had implemented a new mandate requiring all travelers to complete an online health declaration form before departing for the country. They also advised the public to practice good hygiene, frequent hand washing with soap and water, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, especially after contact with an infected person or animal. The National Emergency Management Agency says a total of 227,496 persons are affected and 32,837 houses damaged by flood in 27 states across the country, while 16,488 hectares of farmland with crops have also been destroyed. In a statement issued by NEMA's spokesperson, Ezekiel Manzo in Abuja, the agency director general, Zubaida Umar, said that NEMA will continue with public sensitization as well as grassroots awareness through advocacies and workshops on solid waste management to raise public consciousness on the clearance of blocked drainages and waterways. Mrs. Umar advised state emergency management agencies and community leaders to be prepared for rapid flood response and reassured farmers not to panic about the temporary dry spell, stressing that it will end soon according to NIMET's prediction. She also advised communities at risk of flooding and those living along waterways to relocate to safer, higher grounds ahead of the peak of the rainy season, and called on all stakeholders to be ready to activate at short notice plans and preparations for floods with the increasing incidents in some parts of the country. Umar reassured of the commitment of the agency to coordinate and provide necessary support towards efficient disaster management across the country, stressing that NEMA had rapidly mobilized efforts to assess the damage caused by flood nationwide. And now to sports story. Super Falcons of Nigeria maintained 36th position in the latest FIFA World Ranking, which was released today. The Falcons' position did not come as a surprise following their dismal performance at this summer's Olympics in Paris. The team finished bottom in a group that had Olympic finalists Brazil, Japan, and world champion Spain. Africa's other representative in Paris, Zambia, moved up in the ranking as they are now in 62nd place. Just like the Falcons, the Zambians also lost all their 3 group games in their second appearance at the Olympic. Other African teams who moved up are South Africa, who are now in 58th place, and Tunisia at 58th place. Paris Olympic champion United States of America reclaimed number 1 spot. Silver medal winner Brazil also moved up and are in 8th place, while Spain dropped to 3rd. And now on to foreign story. Protests have intensified in India after a mob vandalized a hospital where a female trainee doctor was raped and murdered in West Bengal state. Reports says the hospital was attacked during the massive Reclaim the Night march held in Kolkata city to protest against the brutal crime. It added that smaller protests were also held in many other Indian cities like Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Pune. The India Medical Association, the country's largest grouping of doctors, has announced a nationwide strike of non-emergency services tomorrow. Doctors Association in other cities and political parties in West Bengal have also planned marches and over the weekend to protest against the attack. That ends the evening news on OSBC TV. Join us at 7 for the major reports. Good evening.